Richard Lukaj nuk është herë e parë që organizon aktivitete të këtij niveli me përfaqësues të lartë të politikës. Ai vazhdimisht organizon këto aktivitete për çështjen shqiptare. Për televizionin Alba Live, Kozeta Zylo, New York. Të dashur bashkëdhetar, ashtu siç u thash dhe pak më parë, bankeri dhe biznesmeni i suksesshëm Richard Lukaj po organizon këtë aktivitet të rëndësishëm për çështjen shqiptare. Dhe sigurisht kur organizohen për çështjen shqiptare, ne këtu pranë do të kemi kryetar të shoqatave të mirënjohura si shoqata Nana e Malit me përfaqësues kryetarin e saj, zotin Ismet Kurti.
Përshëndetje. Ky takim është i rëndësishëm për komunitetin tonë, se shihet dukshëm që vetëm këtë mënyrë mund të kemi arritje edhe më të mira. Sot këtu do të jenë përfaqësues të Senatit dhe të Kongresit të Amerikës. Shihet qartë që interesi i komunitetit është në nivel shumë të lartë, shihet nga pjesëmarrja e kësaj dhe shpresojmë që ky është shekulli i shqiptarëve dhe arritjet e kombit tonë do të jenë gjithnjë më të mëdha.
Zoti Sant Gjon Palaj vazhdimisht merr pjesë në aktivitete të ndryshme dhe veçanërisht në demonstratën e fundit ishte në krye të kësaj lëvizje kaq të rëndësishme për.
Faleminderit, i përshëndesim të televizionistë. Sot kemi ardhur me ftesën e biznesmenit që thatë ju të suksesshëm zoti Lukaj. Vërtet këtu është një kënaqësi që të gjendem në këtë ambient ku shef njerëz të suksesshëm të botës biznesit në botë të mërgatës tonë. Po ashtu sot do të ketë njerëz me rëndësi të veçantë në politikën amerikane. E besoj se edhe në këtë formë shoqatat tona në mënyrën tonë e shtrojmë ndikimin në politikanët amerikanë që të sensibilizojmë opinionin dhe zyrtarët amerikanë mbi pozitën e shqiptarëve në trevat tona në malin e zi. Dhe besoj që edhe në këtë formë përmes pjesëmarrjes tonë jemi duke dëshmuar se vërtet po mundohemi që të bëjmë ata se që kanë një kontribut ndaj interesave jetike në vendlindje dhe sensibilizimin e opinionit dhe zyrtarëve të lartë amerikanë për çështjen shqiptare në të njëjtësi.
Ju falemderit zoti Sant, njëkohësisht dhe këtu kemi shqiptar nga Mali i Zi, i cili foli me konsideratën më të lartë dhe nuk ka se si të mos emocionohesh kur pak më parë më tha, në qoftë se unë do të takoja një shqiptar para viteve 90, unë vetëm do të lotoja. Dhe vërtet këto ëndra kaq të bukura, takime të rëndësishme u realizuan vetëm mbas vitit 90, ku ne tashmë jemi të lirë dhe përsëri po luftojmë për çështjen shqiptare.
Mu më quajnë Ilmi Kurti, vin nga Sukubina. Edhe juve uroj suksese, edhe Richard Lukaj uroj suksese për arritjet e tija, edhe për këtë ditë bukur që e ka ba të pranishme me gjithë shqiptarët të bashkohemi, e të flasim, e të shifemi, e urimet gjithë.
Bashkëdhetar, siç po i shikoni, këtu po takojmë biznesmen dhe njerëz tepër të suksesshëm shqiptaro-amerikan me të cilët ne jemi shumë krenar, dhe një prej tyre është zoti Martin Shkreli, i cili është kryetari i Nakut, ku pak më parë ka qenë vite më parë ka qenë kryetar edhe zoti Richard Lukaj. Zoti Shkreli, sot jemi mbledhur në këtë mjedis kaq të bukur, unë do ta quaja shtëpia e bardhë e shqiptarëve, nuk e di a gabohem.
Vërtet shtëpia e bardhë e shqiptarëve, kemi bën shumë aktivitete këtu për çështjet shqiptare. Richardi është një shok i ngushtë i imi, kemi një marrëveshje dhe bashkëpunojmë shumë bukur me ta. Si the edhe ti, kanë ish kryetari i Nakut, tash jam unë, por bashkëpunojmë rregullisht me ta. Edhe kë mbledhje sot është shumë e rëndësishme për komunitetin shqiptar dhe për shqiptarëve këtë në Amerikë.
Sot është një nga senatorët e suksesshëm, siç është zoti Krist Mafi, mos gabohem, i cili është dhe kryetari për marrëdhëniet me jashtë për Evropën. Ai ka bërë mjaft për çështjen shqiptare dhe është në nderin tonë që sot e kemi të ftuar midis nesh.
Po, shumë e rëndësishme me pas një marrëveshje dhe një marrëdhënie me të liderat tonë, siç janë senatorët që janë të ardhur sot tonë. kryetari i komitetit që është për Foreign Relations Committee, edhe me pas një takim edhe një dialog me ta, me kanë shumë të afërm dhe shumë e rëndësishme për ne këtu të gjithëve.
Në ftesën që na dërgoi zoti Richard Lukaj ishte i ftuar dhe guvernatori i Connecticut.
Po, edhe guvernatori do të vinë këtu, edhe janë shumë e rëndësishme që me majt si shtetin e Connecticut, atëherë edhe me senatorën është me pas një marrëdhënie, një dialog shumë e rëndësishme për ne këtu të gjithëve.
Në shtëpinë e bardhë të shqiptarëve të dashur bashkëdhëtar, unë kështu do ta quaja dhe kam krenari, mos ta harrojmë se ka qenë edhe princi i Anglisë, i cili ka ardhur disa herë në aktivitetet e ndryshme bamirësie që ka organizuar Richard Lukaj. Ju e keni takuar personalisht?
Po, kam takuar personalisht, është shumë e rëndësishme ton personalitetet që ka rarë në këtë shtëpi më kujtohet me mrena 10 vjetëve. Edhe unë jam këtu si koqshie, kam rriqë në Rio, banoj edhe këtu afër, atëherë vi shpesh këtu. Ka bën një shtëpi, një fantazi shumë bukur.
Është vërtet një ditë shumë e bukur të dashur bashkëdhëtar, një ditë me diell, me gjethe të gjelbërta, me njerëz të suksesshëm. Në këtë shtëpi ka qenë edhe shkrimtari i shquar Ismail Kadare në një intervistë dokumentar që kemi realizuar për Richard Lukaj, dhe jo vetëm ai, por mjaft personalitete të shquara, dhe nuk është e thënë që të jenë vetëm njerëzit e famshëm, por zoti Richard Lukaj është një njeri bamirës që ka organizuar këto aktivitete dhe ne e falenderojmë jashtëzakonisht.
Po, kam qenë tu dhe kura kënë shkrimtari Kadare, shkrimtari më i njoftër i shqiptar, kemi shkuar në një restoran, kemi shkuar për një drek, Richardi mundohet me na bashkua, me na majtë gjithë dhe bashkë, janë shumë e rëndësishme dhe falenderojmë shumë.
Të dashur bashkëdhëtar, në dokumentarin që kemi realizuar për Richard Lukaj, kemi takuar dhe një nga personazhet kryesore dhe patjetër sepse pas një burri tepër të suksesshëm, fshihet një grua e mrekullueshme siç është Vjosa këtu. Vjosa është ambisja e shtëpisë, vërtet ka një emër të mrekullueshëm që mua më emocionon sepse jam rritur pranë Vjosës dhe kjo shqiptare kaq e suksesshme ka një burr tepër të suksesshëm këtu në Amerikë. Vjosa?
Thank you to everyone for coming, and we appreciate your contributions to this event.
Thank you, Vjosa. Këtu kemi për shembull nga Milja Pizza, që është shumë e njohur në shtetin e Amerikës.
Oh, po flas anglisht, huh? Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here at the Lukaj home, and we appreciate them very much for opening the doors. This event is a very important event for our entire community, and we're just very happy to be a part of it. It's great to know that so many from so many places have come here to support our people and the causes, and to know that we have the backing of very well-established and respected politicians in America. And it's just a comforting feeling. Thank you.
Këtu pranë kemi një tjetër biznesmen të suksesshëm, zotin Xhakli nga Kosova.
Hello, how are you? I am very happy to be in this place in the gathering. As he said, it's very important for our country, for our community. And I'm very happy to see so many businessmen successful in this great USA.
Okay. Të dashur bashkëdhëtar, siç e shikoni këtu, jo vetëm që kemi biznesmen të suksesshëm, doktor, në profesione të ndryshme, por pranë nesh ndodhet edhe zoti Vedat Gashi, që është avokat në Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës. Besoj në radhë të parë është avokat për çështjen e Kosovës, për çështjen shqiptare.
I'm Vedat Gashi. I'm from Peja in Kosovo, Baronet Tepër actually. I'm an attorney working in New York. I worked in Kosovo for 5 years, but for the past 4 years I've been in New York again.
When did you come in America?
I was born in Kosovo, but I immigrated to the United States in 1984, so I was a young man with my whole family.
And very successful man.
I'm working, and I have a family, and my family's working, so I think we're happy, and that's a success to be here.
Qumë Hajris Hoti, jetoj në Stanford, sa di me arti Richard Lukaj, guest, edhe pakalim shumë mirë, do të takojmë kongresmenet, senatorët, edhe ta shohim tash edhe mas për të mirë të Kosovës dhe shqiptarëve. Faleminderit, përshëndetje.
We'll hear from a number of dear friends. Congressman Himes, who I believe should be here any minute, Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Blumenthal, and our dear Governor Malloy. All of whom are here except for Jim, so a round of applause for all of them. I was going to start with Congressman Himes, but we'll skip him and come back to him afterwards. But before I do that, I wanted to thank our co-hosts whom I will introduce a little bit later individually and thank them individually. But I also wanted to thank for the wonderful food and drink our friend Eddie Metai from Blackstone Steakhouse here in Greenwich. And also for some of the hors d'oeuvres, our friend Nick Jerka from Valbella's here in town as well. I also want to thank Emily Chalk, who is here somewhere, for orchestrating this fine affair. Sarah Clinton Lowenstein, Crystal Kelly, my admin Tess Burns, Danny Bloshki, and Ermita Babamuska. I also wanted to thank Alba Life Television for actually being our videographers at this event. And for Alton Tirana for actually taking a step up in his professional function to provide photography for us here today. Thank you, Alton. I also wanted to thank our musicians, who hopefully you'll all sample shortly. Ergim Brahimi and his musical ensemble for the performances they're going to share with us shortly. I also wanted to thank our guests for keeping their questions to the end, because we have too many speakers to actually interject at this juncture. In addition, Halil Mula, who's right in front of me, also who's tirelessly presented all of these activities and events. Jim, I've said only bad things so far. So, as if on cue, Jim Himes is our Connecticut's 4th District representative in the U.S. House of Representatives. He is serving his 3rd term. He is a member of both of the House Committee on Financial Services and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And I have to go visit that committee because I'm seeking intelligence as much as I can find. Jim grew up as a child of a single working mom in a small town. As a member of Congress, he works very hard to provide American children the same opportunities he had to succeed. Access to a first-rate education, affordable and effective health care, and a decent and safe home in a supportive community. He was born in Lima, Peru in 1966, so he's a little older than I am. To American parents. He spent the early years of his childhood in Peru and Colombia while his father worked for the Ford Foundation and UNICEF. And as an American abroad, Jim grew up, like many of us here, with an awareness of the unique position that the United States holds in the world. Jim began his professional career at a modest firm called Goldman Sachs, where he worked his way up to vice president over the course of a 12-year career on Wall Street. He is proof that good people also come out of Wall Street and has a wonderful blend of experience to serve us both in the Financial Services Committee and the Intelligence Committee of the House. He is a rare talent with an open mind and an empathetic heart. We are fortunate to call Jim our neighbor. His kids, actually, for a brief time, also went to school with my kids. And his wife, Mary, and 2 daughters, Emma and Lindley, are proud members of our neighborhood here. With that, I will invite Jim to maybe share a few words with us and share his thoughts.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. I enjoyed all of that introduction. He's just talking about being a little older than you are. We'll see. I know. I'm just thrilled. I know I see one of our senators. Is the other one here? Yeah, both our senators. I know we're going to hear from them, so I will keep it brief. But really, just to say thank you very much, Richard, to you for organizing this, and to all of you for attending this this great event. I see a lot of friends here. I know we're going to have a good time. The reason we're here, though, is to support a bunch of candidates. Our current governor, I'm actually up for re-election in November. Our senators will get there. And I see our governor back there. Governor, how are you? One of the honors of my lifetime is to work with these guys, to work with the governor, to work with the 2 senators, to work with our colleagues who, let's face it, we all came to office when times were tough. We inherited one heck of a mess. The governor inherited decades worth of putting off the tough decisions that need to be made if you are going to be a leader, and has been cleaning them up. Took office right in the midst of an economic recession, as many of us did. It's an honor to work with these guys because the governor, for example, has not shied away from the tough decisions that have been necessary. He has made those decisions, which is what leadership is all about, in a way that many of his colleagues around the country have not. Some of his colleagues have said we're going to deal with budget pressures by underfunding pension funds, by pushing obligations down to cities and towns and communities so that the state budget looks better. Our governor has not done that. He's taken the tough decisions. He's stepped on a bunch of toes along the way, which is what leadership is all about. You know, it's been a real honor to watch him do that. And to get this state on the kind of trajectory that we need to be on. The governor will address you shortly. He will tell you the story, but Connecticut is really resurgent. Thousands of jobs created, businesses, high technology and otherwise, coming into Connecticut, coming out of the very big challenges that we had starting in 2009 or so, and that's why you're here. You're here to support that kind of leadership, the kind of leadership that the governor has shown, that our senators show every day in the very frustrating institution which is the United States Senate. You know, it's a little crazy these days being in the House of Representatives. The institution has been convoluted for a little while by the arrival of the Tea Party and all that did. But one thing I can say about the House of Representatives is that one individual can't bring the place to a stop the way that can happen in the United States Senate. So the fact that they're willing to continue to push hard for all of the things that they fight for in the United States Senate, things that we care about, like proper investment in our infrastructure. I don't need to tell anybody in the room how important that is. You sit on 95, you know what's happening with Metro North. Standing up, by the way, for smart, commonsensical gun safety. That is a fight that is not an easy one in Washington, D.C., but these guys have really been leaders in the fight. That's what we're talking about here. That's what you're supporting. And I just want to say thank you, Richard, and most importantly, thank you to all of you who are being supportive of this effort statewide.
As I promised, I have a lot of thanks to issue, and I want to start with our co-hosts before we introduce our next speaker. First, I didn't see him here yet, but if he is here, I'd like him to raise his hand. But the retired chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, a veteran of the House for over 2 decades, Congressman Sam Gajenson, has been helpful and a dear friend who's worked with us so passionately, and many of you here as well, on many topics, particularly during the intense strife periods in the Balkans. He was a fearless voice on behalf of people in need. Lirim and Evis Ahmeti. Lirim is an accomplished doctor at Yale Medical, and his wife and former colleague of mine at Bear Stearns some moons ago, I won't say how many years. I'm so grateful for their friendship and for their enormous contributions here today. Lisa and Scott Bates. Lisa unfortunately could not be with us here today, but Scott is here, and I can't say enough about these two individuals and what they've done for so many in so many places around the world, you know, I just find him so inspiring. Lisa was a White House diplomat engaged in southeastern Europe when we first met, and Scott works tirelessly at the Center for National Policy, and he has also been a dear friend on many issues related to southeastern Europe as well. Valerie and Ken Pibere, who unfortunately could not be with us here today, but they're also a brilliant and inspiring young couple with a tremendous legacy of hardworking, successful entrepreneurs and their family. Ken also worked for President Clinton for a period of time and recently ran for New York City Council. Chris Faulkner and his wife, who also have been hosts here today. Chris is the CEO of Breitling Energy. He's a new friend to me by way of an old friend, Zaim Haidari, who I don't know about that association, but I'm grateful for their contributions. Modesta and Paul Collet. Yeah, there they are. They're actually the entire Collet family in many respects. They are unbelievable supporters. I mean, they're people you'll find that, in fact, I don't think I see them other than at fundraisers. So they're a wonderful, wonderful family. I'm pleased to say that we're associated with them as dear friends and admire both their professional and business achievements as well as their making contributions as part of their life. John Malazzi, who I don't know if he's here or found his way here yet, but he's also a brilliant engineer, and if you like the house you see here, he did a lot of the engineering work that made this place possible. He's also currently the Stanford DCC chairman, and actually the most important thing about his background is that he was born literally a few kilometers from that refugee camp where I was born in Italy. Go talk about a small world. Donna and Joe Pastor. I know they're here somewhere. Here they are. They are also co-hosts and among the largest donors and solicitors for this gathering today, and I'm deeply grateful for all that you've done to make this a success. Joe is a brilliant corporate attorney, has actually served our firm from time to time, and I'm privileged to have worked with him, and also grateful that we share so many friends in common, including Susan Peitzwitz, who I saw here earlier. And I look forward to our continued collaborations. Mr. Adrian Shatku, who's he and his lovely bride and entire gorgeous Shatku family are here. Adrian actually is a dear friend, also the founder of Unify Communications. He's a visionary pioneer in the IP telephony world. For those of you who know that arena, he's got a wonderful company that serves the international long-distance market and has built that from the ground up after many years at MCI. I'm grateful for his support and friendship here today, as always, and wish him well with his continuing efforts to build the undersea cable across the Adriatic from Italy to Albania. Drita and Martin Shkreli, I could take the entire afternoon to talk about their merits, so I will try to be brief. Martin is the current chairman of the National Albanian American Council. After I retired the post, NAC was very fortunate to find a significant upgrade, and Martin, I'm proud of the work that you're continuing to do. The organization has continued to do unbelievable work for multiple decades now. Last but certainly not least, Shpresa and Rej Jakli, who were the first to send in the donation at the highest level of donation. And secondarily, I wanted to say that not only am I grateful because they don't live in Connecticut, but they live in New Jersey, but the Jackleys actually were among the strongest supporters and collaborated with us when we were supporting Senator Lieberman over the years. And they were always reliable. They were significant supporters. They were also significant supporters of so many charitable causes over the years, most notably during the refugee crisis in the Balkans, countless fundraisers, and while spawning initiatives, and in particular initiatives related to autism, which we've been fortunate to be invited to as well. Our pleasure. I'm so pleased that they've made giving such an important part of their lives as well, much like many of you. And I only have one issue with them, though. As you can see by looking at them, they've clearly discovered the fountain of youth. And I'm hopeful that they will, because every year they look better. I'm not sure what's involved there. And as many of you can see, I've overcome anorexia. But this aging thing I have far from mastered. I will need this guidance. That's the secret. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Senator Murphy as the junior senator from Connecticut. He was elected in 2012. Many of us got to know Senator Murphy when he was running for Congress in the district that included the Waterbury area. Senator Murphy, committee as well in the House, and the Committee of Oversight and Government Reform, the Energy and Commerce Committees, and the Council and the Committee on on Financial Services. Before his service in the U.S. Congress, Murphy served for 8 years in the Connecticut General Assembly. Senator Murphy grew up in Connecticut, in Wethersfield, and attended Williams College in Massachusetts, graduating with honors and a double major in history and political science. In 2002, he graduated from UConn Law School in Hartford, Connecticut. He practiced real estate and banking law for a number of years, and with the firm of Rubin, Johnson, and Morgan. And on October 18, 2007, he did the most important thing of all in his life, and he married Kathy Hollihan, and also an attorney. And his life just kept getting better when he had his two sons, Owen and Ryder. The senator and his staff have worked so dutifully and have been of great assistance to me during some efforts to support the American University in Kosovo, and we're deeply grateful for that. And he, in fact, is among the people that make me very proud to be an American. Without further ado, Senator Murphy.
Well, Richard, thank you very much to the Lukajes for opening up your home again. They have been so generous year after year. They hosted me here 2 falls ago when I was in a tough race, and to do it again for Dan and Jim and others who are going to benefit says a lot about them, and it says a lot about you. The numbers for this event are pretty fantastic. I don't know if they're going to announce them, but it's a pretty stunning amount of money that you've managed to raise for the statewide races, and I want you to hear from Governor Malloy. So I want to be brief and say 2 very quick things. Richard mentioned his work on behalf of the American University, and frankly there are others in this room that have assisted him in that work. I've had a pretty unique view of events in the Balkans and frankly throughout Europe over the last year and a half. When I was appointed to be the chair, to be the member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, I got assigned this was early in 2013, to be the chairman of the European subcommittee, which has jurisdiction over all of Europe, including Eastern Europe and Russia and the Balkans. And I thought to myself in early 2013, well, this will be a nice, quiet place to spend the next year and a half. And of course, under my watch, things have gone very differently than expected. But what you've learned, and what I've learned, is you see the Russian aggression and incursion into Ukraine and Moldova and Georgia, is that those kind of tactics to try to undermine society and undermine democracy, they work in countries that are vulnerable to that kind of instigation and provocation. And so the work that the Lukajes and many of you are doing to take the bounty that you have been able to receive and win as a member of the greatest economy in the world and return it back home to try to build societies that are less vulnerable to that kind of instigation and provocation. That really is a legacy that will last well beyond your lives. And I've been a big supporter of the American University because I think it's exactly part of that strategy that is central to world stability, but central to the economic and national security of the United States. Raise the condition of people's lives up all around the world so that they can determine their own fate, rather than have some neighbor come in and try to dictate it for them. That really is the best strategy to protect the world and protect your own interest, is make people's conditions better so they don't fall prey to outside tactics. The second thing I want to say is about our great governor. Connecticut got a reputation over the course of the 70s and 80s as a leader, as a state that was willing to try things before the rest of the country was willing to try it. We were a leader on environmental policy and educational policy and transportation policy, and we effectively lost that leadership mantle over the course of the 90s and thousands, to the point that for the 7 of us who were in this very small delegation, it was kind of tough to make the case that we should bring federal dollars to Connecticut because people didn't know whether it was going to go for the best uses anymore. I can give you the full roster of what Dan Malloy has meant to this state. We are coming back, but we have also become once again a vanguard state when it comes to improving our schools and resetting our transportation policies and training our workers for the next economy. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've won huge new awards from the federal government on worker training, on supporting our defense companies, on investing in our roads and rails. And that is because people believe in this governor in Washington. People believe in him in this state. But he has become the 8th member of our delegation because people now want to invest in this state because they see the kind of leadership that he's brought here. But he's going to have a tough race on his hands. Dick and I each went up against big self-funders, spent $49 million against Dick Blumenthal. I'll just mention for the record that she spent $50 million against me. But who's counting? And whether or not that number equals that total, you're going to see massive amounts of money come into the state on the other side of this governor's race. And it's your ability to pool together much more reasonable sums of money to try to make the case to people in the same way that as members of the Connecticut delegation, we can make the case as to what Dan Malloy has meant for us that'll make the difference. So thank you. It's a beautiful afternoon. You could be doing a lot of things with your Sunday. The fact that you chose to spend it here supporting the governor, supporting Jim, supporting the ticket, that's going to be about the best investment you'll make this year. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Our next guest, Dick Blumenthal, is serving his first term as a U.S. Senator after overcoming the $49 million arsenal from our neighbor down the road. Mr. Blumenthal served an unprecedented 5 terms as Connecticut's Attorney General, fighting for people against large and powerful interests. In fact, his name was synonymous with second to none, really, in the role across the country with many of the precedent activities on the part of any Attorney General around the country. Senator Blumenthal graduated from a better-than-average college called Harvard. He graduated Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude, and then went on to actually a pretty good school called Yale Law School. where he was editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal. From 1970 to 76, he served in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves and was honorably discharged with the rank of a sergeant. Senator Blumenthal is also most active on the Judiciary, the Armed Services, Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committees, and the Veterans Affairs Committees in the Senate. He also serves on a special committee on the aging, which I am most certainly looking forward to his support with, as I'm coming to the years where Reg and Espressa may or may not share their youth thing with me, so I may need all the help I can find. The other thing I wanted to say about Senator Blumenthal, actually, which many of you may not know, is he is a tremendous champion on immigration matters and reform in that arena, and that is a place where, as an immigrant myself, I can't empathize enough with his posture in that arena. Senator Blumenthal also is a neighbor of ours here in Greenwich with his wife Cynthia and his 4 children, and we're proud to call him our senator.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am a neighbor from the other side of the tracks. Not quite. I want to thank all of you, and Richard did a wonderful job in thanking so many people. And if you haven't been thanked, raise your hand.
I'm going to get to you.
You will be mentioned. But most important, Viosa, thank you so much for all you have done. And I know, I mean no disrespect to the other Richard, that it is our wives who really do the work. And I can say about myself, and I think about you, that we both married above ourselves. So absolutely. Thank you very much. And to come back, I'm a little sensitive about this point of how much our opponents spent. My opponent actually spent more in her race against me. It was just in an earlier year, so in present value dollars, it was $51 million. So don't forget it. Let me tell you a little bit about myself that Richard didn't cover. My dad came to this country in 1935. He was 17 years old. He came to escape persecution in Germany. He spoke no English. He had nothing more than the shirt on his back, and he knew nobody. And this country gave him a chance to succeed. He came on a boat, and I've taken my children to Ellis Island to see where he came through and signed his name. My mom came from a little bit different background. My grandfather, her dad, raised corn and cattle on a farm just south of Omaha, Nebraska. He too was an immigrant. As a matter of fact, he gave me his first job in my life, which was shoveling manure on his farm. My wife tells me it was pretty good training for what I do these days. They, you might think, had very little in common. In fact, what they had in common.
Senator Murphy did laugh at that one.
You know, they came from very different backgrounds, but what they had in common was a very deep belief that my brother and I have an obligation to give back to this country. And what I find in immigrants and the children of immigrants is that deep belief in America and the American dream. And I can tell you, without any exaggeration, that it inspires me every day that I'm in the Senate. No matter how frustrating, no matter how infuriating, and by the way, it can be very frustrating and infuriating, the American dream, the belief that we can do better, that we have a compact to make this nation better because we have the privilege to be in the greatest country in the history of the world. That I know you share. And that's part of the reason why my passion in the United States Senate is immigration reform. In fact, when I agreed to be on the Judiciary Committee, I said, okay, I know a lot about the law, I know a lot about prosecutions, but what I want to do is be on this subcommittee that deals with immigration. the Immigration Subcommittee because I want to write a bill that reforms our immigration system to bring 11.5 million people out of the shadows, to enable more people with skills and talents to come to this country under the H-1B visa program, to allow better border security and better enforcement of our immigration laws so that we don't detain people for 6 to 8 months. What a disgrace. What a shameful practice for the United States of America to detain people without due process in those detention facilities. And so I have helped to write that immigration reform bill that was passed by the United States Senate overwhelmingly by a bipartisan majority, and unfortunately it is now stalled in the House of Representatives. I've met with many of you before. We met in Waterbury, we met in other places to talk about this issue. I can pledge to you that we are going to work, continue to work until we win on immigration reform. It has to be done in the United States of America. We need a fair system that matches the American dream in what it can do for all of us to make America fairer and to enable more of the talents and expertise that are brought to this country by people who want to share in that American dream. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation that welcomes diversity and provides opportunity. So thank you for all you are doing to support this cause. Now, talking about the state of Connecticut, what we've tried to do nationally is enable more of the dreamers, the young people brought to this country as infants or small children, to have full access to our schools. And Connecticut, under Dan Malloy, has provided in-state tuition and financial aid for those dreamers. He has also championed gun safety laws to stop gun violence. Chris Murphy and I were both at Sandy Hook on the very day that massacre occurred. So was the governor. And the Connecticut example of common sense, sensible measures to stop gun violence continues to lead the nation. And Connecticut has helped to lead in college affordability, another passion of mine. Many of your children are either going to college or will go to college, and the chances are many of them, if not your children, many of our children in Connecticut will emerge with debt. $30,000 is the average debt. It used to be that people could work their way through school in the summers or during the year. College tuition costs have risen so astronomically, it can't be done anymore. They need more assistance, more grants, more scholarship. The federal aid program needs to be expanded, and we need to bring down the interest rates on this student debt. It is an overhang on our entire economy. It is threatening to cripple the ability of young people to start new businesses, to begin families, and to continue being productive in our society. And again, Dan Malloy has championed that through state laws that enable more affordable tuition. So on many of these issues that we are advocating down in Washington, Connecticut is really helping to lead the way under his leadership. I just want to close with this thought. You know, we all in this country, whether we were born here or came here, share a kind of compact. It's between the generations that we leave this country better than we found it, that we make it stronger, that we leave the air and water cleaner, that we leave the roads in better shape. We're in danger of breaking that compact in America. Our roads are not in better shape, our air is not cleaner. We have a real responsibility to do better in this country, and it comes back to governance. The quality of people we elect, their determination, their courage, and their strength. And your being here today and being willing to contribute is a very profoundly important message to me that people want to help. They want to support good government. Thank you to every one of you for being here. Thank you for all of your help to me and to others here. It is so important to have your support, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Governor Malloy really doesn't need any introduction in this crowd, but before I introduce him, I'm going to do some housekeeping and cleanup because the senator just reminded me that I had more people to thank. You know, there are people here who I've known and seen and contributed in so many ways. Not all of whom are the top donors, but they are the top donors in my eyes because they have been consistently present, available for over 2 decades of time that I've been sort of actively involved. And guys like Remy and Bruno and Harry, and I mean, you just go around this room, there's so many people here who just constantly, in every which way they can do, they do. And I'm just tickled pink that I can call them my friends. The governor as well, I dare to call him a friend. He's been here a number of times. He's seen the evolution, watched my kids grow up. He's seen the construction projects in motion sometimes. And his accolades are very many. I got to know him when he was the mayor of Stamford at the time, and he's, to me, a very true American success story, as we were referencing earlier, except of an Irish variety. He's also an inspiration to my oldest daughter, probably something he doesn't know, but she actually looks at him as a role model for people with dyslexia. And she regrettably is hiking in Maine today, going through 3 mountain terrains, but and couldn't be with us. But I'm hoping that she will continue to look to him as a role model as she looks to people to actually emulate, as his career seems to have no limitation. Before I present the governor, I also wanted to thank the staffs of all of our dignitaries here today. In addition to Emily, who I referenced earlier, there's Sarah, Megan, Ben, and also our 2 volunteers, Etienne and Angelo, who I've lost track of, but I presume we're here somewhere, and we didn't make them stay at the front of the driveway, I hope. Their team has worked tirelessly, weekly conference calls, regular meetings, and has worked in my office in a flawless way to accomplish what we've accomplished here today. I can't possibly thank them or all of you enough. One last acknowledgement. Yesterday was my dear brother Michael's birthday. He would have been here with us today. I just, again, can't thank all of you enough. I invite the governor.
Thank you. Richard, thank you very much to his beautiful wife and generous wife. Thank you for opening your home. I like to come to this house in Greenwich because it gives me an understanding of what affordable housing looks like in Greenwich. So it's good to be with everybody. It is a beautiful home. You've done a masterful job with it. You've heard from wonderful people, a congressman who's doing an unbelievable job in straightening out an economic mess that has occurred in the United States. A new senator, former Congressman Chris Murphy, who is really an inspiration on so many fronts and is so plain-spoken and gets to the point and has people understand what we need to do as a nation. My good friend Dick Blumenthal, wonderful Attorney General, now United States Senator, now our senior senator, who speaks with such great passion on so many issues and is providing such great leadership. Dick and I are also working on defense issues. I happen to be one of the governors who oversees the national relationship between the Reserve and units throughout the 50 states, and Dick, of course, is playing a major role with respect to overseeing the military of the United States, so it's great to work with him on that front as well. You've all been standing for a long time, so I'm going to try to do some things very quickly. Number one, say thank you to each and every one of you. To the host committee, thank you for doing what you've done. Again, to Richard and his wonderful wife, thank you. To the rest of you who just got roped into this, I apologize. I know it takes a lot to come out and support, in some cases, somebody that you don't know. But I do want you to know this about me. I am committed to public service. And some of the things that we've been able to do over the last few years have been mentioned. But like all of you, I believe that America's best days are ahead of it, as long as we invest in the next generation, the next group of people who are going to have to replace us. That's why getting education right in America is so darn important, and that's why playing a leadership role in Connecticut is so darn important, and we are doing that. Creating jobs and opportunity for folks is very, very important. And Connecticut, quite frankly, lost its way. We were one of the few states that did not have net job growth over about a 22-year period of time. Since I've become governor, we've seen the creation of over 55,000 new private sector jobs, and those jobs are being created in areas that really are going to lead the country. We're number 2 now. We're number 2 in concentration in aerospace. If you want an industry that's going to grow in this world, aerospace is it. Right now, as I stand before you, only about 4% of the Chinese population has ever flown. In the United States, that percentage is well in excess of 35%. The ability to compete, to build those great engines, those great braking systems, those great fuel systems here in Connecticut is what we have to be about. And that's why I was so proud to ink a new deal, a new agreement with United Technologies, the leading company, one of the leading companies in aerospace, certainly the one in our state, responsible for over 102,000 jobs, a company that 4 years ago said that perhaps it would leave the state of Connecticut, now has inked a new deal to spend $500 million on a new headquarters, a new engineering center, and has said that they will spend $4.5 billion in the next few years in the state of Connecticut on research projects for the products that will be used around the world by our military, by other militaries, by civil aeronautics. We are moving again in the state of Connecticut after a long period of lagging behind other states. We are moving again, whether it's the development of better housing opportunities, better, stronger urban areas, jobs, as I've mentioned, education, we're doing it. I'll give you one statistic, and if you remember nothing else, remember this. That in the 9 years prior to my becoming governor, the state of Connecticut had invested in a total of 119 companies. 9 years, 119 companies. I have been governor for less than 3.5 years. And in the last 2.5 years, we have invested in over 1,600 companies. This is the idea about making sure that new ideas and new products being thought about and developed at our universities or in the city of New Haven or Hartford or Stanford or elsewhere actually comes to fruition in the state of Connecticut, that those jobs remain in the state of Connecticut, that the wealth created is in Connecticut. It is a total different economic model that we are pursuing here in Connecticut than any that we have pursued before. And that's why I can say to all of you that our best days are in fact ahead of us. That people coming to our country from other places can come to Connecticut and experience real wealth growth. I'm proud of that record, and that's why I'm prepared to work as hard as I can over the next few months and having people understand that the steps that we have taken just in the last 3.5 years has repositioned the state of Connecticut. I'll give you one more statistic. While most states' total debt has gone up dramatically in the last 3.5 years, Connecticut's has gone down by $11.6 billion, and that is even after we made the kinds of investments that I've talked about. $11.6 billion less in debt, more jobs, better education, lower crime, lower homicides, stronger urban environments, investments in our transportation system at 147% of what my predecessor spent in her last year, we're now spending on transportation. And we're lowering the debt. Our best days are ahead of us. We should be proud of who we are and what we are and where we came from, because we come to America and we make it a stronger and better place. My folks were Irish. My dad only went as far as the 8th grade in the Stanford, growing up in Stanford. And yet all of his 8 children and all of his grandchildren have gone on to college and have decided, as you have, to invest in our collective future, our families, our communities, our state, and our nation. So I just want to say thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping us in this election. Thank you for helping our great congressman and giving the assistance that I'll need to fight and win a tough race. But we are going to win it, and we are going to be better for it. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
I am absolutely certain I've forgotten to thank people because it's inevitable. You know, I see Zayam and Tia, thank you. Fatos Koletsi, Vedat Gashi, who's hiding in the back because he's going to be a future elected official himself. He's trying to remain in the shadows for now. There's inevitably lots of people here that all collectively deserve our thanks. And if you can imagine following up this act of performances among our diplomats and dignitaries here, we actually have a performance from Ergin Brahimi and his ensemble. It's a mix of Albanian and international performance in the classical flavor. And I'd invite you all inside in the cooler air conditioning, although I don't know if you guys noticed, but just as all the formalities were happening, this cool breeze came in just to make us all feel good. That's all reserved. It's not easy to do that. I welcome you all inside. Please also, the drinks, the food, all of it has been provided for.
Can we watch the World Cup now?
And we can watch the World Cup right after that. Please.
Mr. Senator, what is your message to the Albanian community?
Well, we have such a strong Albanian community in Connecticut, down here in the New York area, but from my part of the state in Waterbury, we're so proud of what the Albanians have done to really build a powerful political constituency. We're also watching very closely Albania's plans to join the EU, and we've had some good news there recently. We want to continue Albania on a path to be a full member of the EU at a time when I think the European Union is more important than ever to countries in the Balkans. So I've been a great friend of the Albanian community. I was really glad to have the Albanian ambassador here joining me in Waterbury a few weeks ago, and I'll hopefully be visiting the region sometime soon as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Senator, what you've done for the Albanian community.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Ej,
Bashkëdhetar, këtu pranë kemi guvernatorin e Connecticut që sot ndodhet në këtë aktivitet kaq të rëndësishëm dhe fjalët e tij ishin të mrekullueshme për komunitetin shqiptar. Mr. Gubernator, what is your message to the Albanian community?
Well, the Albanian community needs to understand that we love Albanians here in Connecticut. We're very proud of how this community has prospered. The hardest working people in the world. They come to Connecticut, come to the United States, make us stronger, make us a better nation, and get an opportunity to share in our common culture. So, we are very embracing of the Albanian population. Big, strong population in Waterbury and Stamford and Bridgeport, really throughout the state of Connecticut. Come to Connecticut and experience our lifestyle. Thank you, and thank you to Albalife. You're doing a great job in bringing the community together, keeping it together. We all want to celebrate where we come from, and you're doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Të dashur bashkëdhetar, këtu pranë kemi senatorin në shtëpinë e bardhë, I cili ka bërë një punë të jashtëzakonshme për çështjen shqiptare.
And I believe very strongly that we need to reform our immigration law because we are a richer nation when we welcome people with talents, even though they speak different languages and they come from other countries. We're a nation of immigrants, and we're stronger when we welcome people to this country. I think we will change our laws to enable more people to come out of the shadows, to bring to this country people with skills that we need, and to make our justice system fairer. So I think that it will come. I hope it will be in weeks or months, but however long it takes, I will continue fighting. Thank you.
I have gone with singing. We can sing again.